Hello, everybody. Marvin Golden here, and today I'm talking with Clippy. He is an anthropomorphic paperclip who served as a default digital assistant for Microsoft Office from 1997 through 2007. And he's joining me today. So, hello, Clip. So, I always like to start my interviews off by getting to know everything about my guests. So, we're, so if you don't mind, we're going to dive into your history. So the first question to start this off is, where did it all begin for Clippy? Let's go back a little bit further and talk about Microsoft Bob, because the the things that we saw in Microsoft Office actually came from Microsoft Bob. So can you talk a little bit about that? Why did Microsoft Bob fail? And how did you, Clippy, end up being the default assistant for Office 97? What did people think about you being chosen to represent Microsoft Office as the digital assistant? I want to dive into the mechanics and features of Microsoft Office when you were the assistant. Can you talk a little bit about that? And can you recall the exact moment where you realized the end was near for you? How did you feel about being let go by Microsoft Office in 2001? Did you believe that it was justified, or do you believe that you weren't given enough time to showcase what you could really do? Before your resurgence, what did your life look like after leaving Microsoft? At what point did you notice the hate for you was dying down? Let's talk about your place in pop culture. You were being referenced in shows like Family Guy, The Simpsons, The Office, and Silicon Valley. What were your feelings on it then, and what are your feelings on it now? And now, we have a lot of digital assistants these days, such as Co- Copilot, ChatGPT, Alexa, Siri, and many others. But let's be real, without the OGs like you, we wouldn't have all these AI assistants today. So, what does it mean for you to finally get the love admiration, and respect all these years later. Two-part question to wrap up this interview. First, what's next for Clippy? And to close this off, when it's all said and done, what does Clippy want his legacy to be? All right, Clippy, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk with me, and you enjoy the rest of your day. All right, everybody, that concludes my interview with Clippy. This is Marvin Golden. Catch you on the next video.